George Clooney. What happened, Kari, with George Clooney? We want
George
all the
Clooney.
juicy details here.
I watched it with Scarlett Johansson. We both saw it. Scarlett was 16. I played her mother. I'm semi-retired, but my friend... Oh my God. I shouldn't do this. You can edit it if you feel it's too much.
Yeah, we Flawsome Talk.
Hi and welcome to Flawsome Talk, the podcast. I'm Kerstin Flor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. So on Fridays, it's my podcast day, and I talk about other things than Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal drama. And sometimes I have a guest. And I do have a guest today, and she is pretty amazing. Her name is Kari Wuhrer, and she's worked in Hollywood for over 40 years. She has been in like 70 movies. And here on my podcast today, she's going to share a lot of her experiences. Some are good, some are bad, some are hilarious, some are R-rated, some are really awful. And some of them are quite inspiring. She's worked with everyone from Jack Nicholson to Sean Penn. She's also opening up about her love affairs, her missteps, and some of the things that she really regrets to this day. Anyways, here is the amazing Kari. Kari, I'm gonna say your name in Norwegian because it is a Norwegian name. Because when I saw your name, I was like, "Is she Norwegian?" Yeah. But you have Norwegian like ancestors.
I do. My grandmother, Bunny Olson, was a jazz singer, and she looked a lot like Judy Garland. She
Wow.
with big brown eyes and brown hair and very short. So nobody believed her as being Norwegian. No.
Kari, can we say that you are a veteran in Hollywood? Because I was looking at your
100%.
IMDb and I was like, you have like 72 credits to your name. Is that right? I mean, you've done so much and you started out many years
So much.
ago. What year did you start out? What year did you get your first role?
I got my SAG card in 1982. I think I was 16. I lived in a small town in Connecticut. So I was like kind of an hour and a half outside of New York City and just insisted on becoming an actor. And I kind of hopped on trains and went into New York. And it's really funny because I think I was 15 years old. I was on a train from Brewster, New York to New York City. And a man approached me and he was like, "You're beautiful. I'm a photographer. Here's my card. I want to take your picture." I was like, okay, I wanted to be a model or an actress. You know, I was like, I wasn't like your typical traditional pretty girl in school, but I was feisty and I wanted to be weird and I wanted to stand out. And this guy approached me. So I went back to my parents and I gave them this guy's card, and they, like in the old days, you would call the Better Business Bureau. And so they checked this guy out and he was great. And he was in Mount Kisco, New York. So I was like, okay, I'll go get some headshots. This guy has contacts to the modeling world or whatever. And I would go there to Mount Kisco and my parents would drop me off and I'd do these innocent sessions and get these great pictures, or what I thought. And then the sessions got a little more intimate and he was a big fat guy. Okay.
Oh.
All right. As it turns out, and I was a kid. The guy's name is Tom Chappelle, and he was the photographer that took those pictures of Vanessa Williams when she was Miss America, exposed them, and got her decrowned. So this was the same guy. And now he was constantly talking to me about, he took these pictures for her at 18. I totally get it now. There was nothing but mental coercion. And I couldn't walk out of there. I was waiting for my mommy to pick me up. But years later, that guy would stalk me and move from Mount Kisco to New York to my hometown. It was crazy. But I never saw it as a crime. I saw it more as how I did something wrong because I let him take those pictures of me.
And you were so young at that point. I mean, so you kind of got thrown into things very, very quickly.
Yeah, but listen,
in a sense of...
I was always the master of the game in my head. Now, I felt guilty about that. Like, I did something wrong. I remember him coming to my house and me hiding in my mom's closet because I didn't want anybody to know I was home. And to this day, I still do that. But it's crazy what the trauma does. And I didn't realize it was trauma. And then I just kept working. I used those headshots. I got an agent. My first agent was Ford. They did like a commercial division. And I started working in commercials and stuff, got my SAG card early. But my first movie I got 1985. It was my last day of high school, which was called Fire with Fire. In 1985, it was Virginia Madsen, Craig Sheffer, D.B. Sweeney, and I got this like featured role through all this auditioning process in Columbus Circle in New York. It was incredible. And I went and I shot my first movie in Vancouver. Had my first on-set affair with the AD, lying about my age, blah, 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 blah. I was free. Went down to LA right after that movie was done with my friend who was also in the movie, an actress named Penelope Sudrow, and experienced LA for the first time. I was 18. I never had an avocado. I never had Indian food. And I had this torrid affair with this British AD, and I was in Canada, and it was all so great. And I'm going to tell you a story I've never told anybody, and I shouldn't do this, but I'm semi-retired. But my friend, oh my God, Flossom, because we're calling you Flossom now.
Yes.
Makes it easier for
Yes.
everybody.
I feel this is going to be a Flossom moment to remember.
Oh my God. So check this out. I shouldn't do this. You can edit it if you feel it's too much. So I'm in the Hard Rock Cafe in West Hollywood. It just opened at the base of the Beverly Center. And I was in there with my friend Penelope, who was in the movie Fire with Fire. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. And we're sitting in there, and there's a big, huge round table in the middle. And I swear on my little feet, if this isn't true, but I thought after doing Fire with Fire, I'm going to be in the Brat Pack. Who is at the Hard Rock Cafe? Judd Nelson, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, a couple of the peripheral players, like sitting around this table. You couldn't write this for a reality show any better. And I'm sitting with Penelope, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, we just did this movie. I'm like, oh. Next thing you know, we're sitting at this round table, and the next thing you know, I'm in the bathroom with Rob Lowe. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all I'm going to say about Rob.
He was my
Lowe.
biggest crush in my oh my
Dude,
God.
you have no idea. And it was some sort of game they were playing. I don't know. I felt no shame. I felt like I was part of the Brat Pack now. Woo! Like I'm an 18-year-old actress. Like I watched these people in movies, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here, right?
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't? You were 18 at the time. How old was Rob Lowe then?
I don't know, a few years older, right?
Yeah, he was young. Was that
How old was he
after
now?
St. Elmo's Fire?
It was during this whole St. Elmo's Fire. So I had to go back to New York. So I started school at NYU, and I got a job because I had no money. You know, my parents had no money. My dad, lived in suburban Connecticut. My dad was a cop. He was fired. He scrambled for jobs. My mom worked payroll to support the family at a publishing book company. So anyway, I get a job at the Palladium in New York City. And I'm a cocktail waitress in the VIP room, the Michael Todd room at the Palladium in New York City in 1985. Andy Warhol, Keith Haring, Bianca Jagger, Prince. Like I'm waiting on these people.
Wow.
And Judd Nelson and all these. And Judd Nelson was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And I'm like, putting grams of under tiny napkins for big real estate people with a gin and tonic. Of course. I made tons of money. How could I have paid for NYU or anything? So Judd Nelson, Lori Rodkin was his manager at the time, and she was there. And I remember trying to smooth. I just wanted to be a Brat Packer, but lo and behold, after the experience, boom, I'm in college. So next thing you know, I get a job at MTV, and I become the hostess of Remote Control, which is the game show that had one season that started to become a hit. Ken Ober, Colin Quinn, and me, and it became this huge thing. And we were like super famous for a minute, but they paid us nothing. I remember I lived in New York City. I had to roller skate to the studio in order to get there because there was no subway. I couldn't afford a cab, right? And I remember roller skating out of the studio to go back home with like kids chasing me. But it was a crazy time. And so I had an in with MTV. And then I was an actor. So I went out to LA to do a movie. I worked. I didn't let anybody touch me unless I touched them. I did 2 movies that Harvey Weinstein produced.
Yes. Let's talk about that. What was that like?
He was awesome. I had no problems. I did The Crossing Guard that Sean Penn directed.
How was he? I want to know about him too.
Amazing. This is my theory about Hollywood and about actors, just so like to get the theory out there. I've worked with a lot of amazing actors, from Jack Nicholson to Jon Voight, like big guys, right? People that have been established as having not fame or box office, but as having like mastered their craft. All of these guys were kind of the A-list mafia. And I worked with them during the crossing guard, and you can't touch them. And they're not criminals and they're not predators. They have peripheral people around them that are, for sure. But they are the kindest, most giving teachers. They're known for mastering their craft. The other stuff is peripheral. And then you have actors in the middle that I've worked with are struggling, that aren't kind, that want to step on you, that have women issues. I'll give you a couple names. I can give you the name of Eric Roberts, who was the biggest asshole and the most.
Bad.
We worked so intimately on a movie together, and he tore me down, even in his compliments. And it was very, very difficult. And his wife, Eliza, was amazing. All I got to say about that is I felt really proud of the movie we did. It was called Sensation. I worked really hard through the struggles he threw at me. And then years later, he slid into my DMs with an apology.
Wow.
And I will
Was that during Me Too or something that he felt like it was time to do that? Do you think it was sincere?
I would say it was probably a ninth step during his recovery because he's sober.
Well, at least he did it.
Dude, I understand his struggle with addiction and alcohol. And the fact that he did, and I don't want to say it as it's not an AA thing. It was I don't know, because, it's anonymous. But he did it, and he didn't have to. And it made me realize a lot of things. Like every actor out there is just like you and me. They're just people that are insecure enough with I'm not going to say just like you and me. I'm going to say maybe just like me, because there are people that have done the work and dedicated their lives to the discipline of their craft. And then all they have to do is show up because the work is done. And those are people like Jack Nicholson and Steven Spielberg as a director. I mean, people I could name that I've met that are there. And it's not about the amount of money they have or about the amount of success they have. I mean, even though that's great validation, it's about how hard they worked and mastered their craft. And then you have a lot of people coming in that are like, I'm handsome, I can do that. I'm pretty, I can do that haven't done the work to master the craft. All the other stuff is gravy. I mean, you can look at an actor actor, whatever, so compelling and so beautiful to watch, but they're only beautiful to watch, compelling, if you're believing them and are in the moment. There's so many actors out there that are cute, that are like, that just don't pull you in the moment, that don't get you into that suspension of disbelief. And that's the magic that actors have to have that makes the difference between them being a star and then being a utilitarian actor and then not working at all, right? So I worked with those mid guys, Eric Roberts, who clearly had talent, other people, and they were so insecure or had substance abuse problems where they couldn't connect with their higher self to understand that, And I think that those people were the biggest problem for me. Those are the ones that tried to cut me down, that wanted to step on me, to hurt me, to look big. It's a syndrome. And we as women, we can inflate our powers in order to win and to get into the circle, but it doesn't combat it. They just win. Or we dedicate ourselves to a craft and work hard and find that path. I did not do that. Even though I did it all through high school. I had private coaches. I went into the city every day after school to study at HB Studio with private, I was really into it. But and I wasn't pretty. I was the weird kid. The second I got whiff of my being a power or being a way in, I used it in a way. Now, I wasn't the white pumps, fan blowing girl. I was the girl in the bra with the combat boots. I was a little different. I didn't have the confidence of the LA, video vixen, which is the days that I was coming up in, right? When I did The Crossing Guard, okay, there was no script. I hung out with Sean Penn for a month beforehand. We went to strip clubs together because I was going to play a stripper. I had to get into the world, the mind of him, right? David Morse was in it. People I had to write scenes, basically. I had to take dance classes. I told Sean Penn outright, I said, I can't dance at all, but I can tap. So we put this little Shirley Temple thing in there. But the point was is that my first day on the set, I was in a downtown apartment in the Diamond District. It was horrible. Gray carpeting. There was a bed. And I had to do a scene with Jack Nicholson. And in that scene, the beginning, I was completely naked. And I was playing the piano and singing to him.
Naked?
Completely naked on the set. Vilmos Zsigmond was the DP. He's passed, but amazing cinematographer. I mean, I'm filled with legends. Sean Penn, there's Jack Nicholson in character with a bottle of Jack Daniels. And I just the power I had or I felt in that moment blurred the fear I had of actually connecting and doing the work of the scene. Do you understand? I was so but subconsciously, I was in the room with the Hollywood greats, all right? Everywhere I wanted to be my whole life, doing a scene with Jack Nicholson. And I blow it because I put on my cloak to protect them from seeing the real me, I guess. And that was my power in that room that first day. Oh my God, years later, was I wrong? I should have relied on my craft, my training, my connection with him to make that scene happen. And he coached me.
Why did you feel you were wrong?
I didn't then. I mean, I came out of there feeling like this is the most amazing experience. You know what I mean?
But what did you feel later, years later, that made you think like that?
I didn't feel violated in any way at the time. I was taken care of. Nobody violated me. But I felt that my power was in my nudity and the way I looked and could project myself over these strong men rather than meeting them as an equal in the craft that right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you didn't realize that until many, many years later.
Of course not. And now, then I look back and I go, my God, what an unbelievable and incredible opportunity. And I'm not saying that opportunity was wasted with Jack Nicholson to be in a scene is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that opportunity was wasted. He coached me. We worked together. We did it. But I approached it from a very insecure place because there I was. And I used my nudity as my shield of armor in a way.
It's so interesting. I would never that's very interesting. And of course, there weren't any intimacy coordinator at that time.
No. At the end of the day, it was my demise because when all that goes away, as it obviously has, I'm 58 years old, the craft is what you're left with. It's like a melting icicle. That popsicle stick is still going to stand, right? Unless you're an idiot and trade the popsicle stick for the popsicle, which is kind of what I did. And I know a lot of people that have done that. And that's when SH was a form of not that it isn't now, but it didn't even have to be physical to be a form of manipulation. And I'm not saying these men knew it. They were just as ignorant as I was in the situation. But that's what the power dynamic was going by. They were like, look at this chick we have on set naked. And look at me naked on the set with all of you. You know what I mean? There was such a split in perception.
Interesting. But before we get into that, I wanted to thank the sponsors of this episode, Green Chef and BetterHelp. I love summer. There's something about it that just makes me feel so happy and relaxed. And even though I love to cook, I sometimes feel a bit lazy and I need a little help to get more creative with my meals. And for me, trying to be as healthy as possible has always been a priority. And that's not always easy, but that's why I'm so excited to team up with Green Chef, who's also the #1 meal kit for clean eating. Green Chef just makes it easier to spend less time in the kitchen and enjoy more time outdoors. The new Heat and Eat meals are ready in just 3 minutes. And they got everything from fresh salads to protein-packed breakfasts and nutrient-rich smoothies to fuel your day. And if you don't feel like eating at home, you can also bring it with you to the beach or to the park. To me, fresh ingredients are so important. And you can really taste the difference. And with 80 plus dietitian approved weekly options, Mediterranean, yummy, gluten-free, plant-based, protein-packed, even gut and brain health. It's easy to find meals that fits exactly how you want to eat. I can't wait to taste this Moroccan spice tilapia with couscous, or this organic chicken over Greek bulgur salad, or this shrimp from Diavolo Summer squash, roasted red peppers, fresh mozzarella, basil pesto. Yummy. So why not make the rest of your summer the healthiest with Green Chef? Head to greenchef.com/50 Shashti, my name, and use code 50 Shashti to get 50% off your first month plus 20% off 2 months with free shipping. I also really want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Sometimes I feel the internet is drowning us in wellness advice. Cold plunges, gratitude journals, screen detoxes, you name it. I've definitely felt overwhelmed trying to figure out what works for me. And honestly, that can make decision making even harder. That's why I really like BetterHelp. Instead of sifting through endless tips, you can actually talk to a real therapist. A real person that actually gives you personalized guidance that fits your life. Therapy isn't just for major trauma. It can help you with learning coping skills so you are more prepared to deal with things when they occur. It can help you set boundaries and just become the best version of yourself. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. It has over 30,000 licensed therapists and has served over 5 million people worldwide. And it works. Live sessions average 4.9 out of 5 ratings across 1.7 million users. You can join a session with just one click and switch out your therapist whenever you want to. BetterHelp can connect you to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Since Blossom Talk is sponsored by BetterHelp, my listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Shashti. That's better, HELP.com/Shashti, my name.
You know, I met Harvey once a couple times at the Crossing Guard. I worked with Dimension in Romania doing the Hellraiser series. I did a sixth one and then a couple prophecies. And, you know, that was like, I get to work in Romania for however many months and do the movies. Like, who wouldn't do that?
But do you never had anything? Did you ever feel that he was inappropriate in any way? Did you ever see anything with him, with Harvey?
Okay, so at the wrap party for the Crossing Guard. So after that, I was talking to Harvey and he's like, you know what? We got to do the Janis Joplin story. You should play it, blah, 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 blah. If I had the inclination to chase that, right, with Harvey Weinstein, sure, I could have done it. But he wasn't, you know, he wasn't after me. I didn't feel cornered ever. But I could have been that business. So I think a lot of people that are in a lot of women that are in the positions of power in Hollywood, they all have their craft. The big ones do. Because if you don't have that stem, you know, you can't carry film. You can't make shit happen. But you don't think that they've compromised themselves in ways?
Do you think that the generation now of those bigger stars that we have, I have a friend who's an actress too in LA, and she told me stories, and she said there were so many inappropriate, you know, proposals from producers all the time. And she said a lot of these actresses, you know, that made it that she saw.
Yeah, I
take-
saw it. I've seen it. I've seen it on the set of Eight-Legged Freaks with an actress who's 17 at the time, sitting on laps, blah, 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 blah. She's now a star. She got her own movies. Happened. I saw it. She was the girlfriend of one of the actors. Saw her do it. I watched it with Scarlett Johansson. We both saw it. Scarlett was 16. I played her mother. What an incredible mind. What an incredible human being. What an incredible story she has, overcoming what her youth was. She's amazing.
I don't know much
Now, that's a
about her.
person that everybody saw the stem of that flower way before the bloom, you know? She had the craft, the something, and worked at it. And I haven't spoken to her in a couple of years, but like that person is unshakable. Did she have to do something? No. She was the one that saw it, and then they saw the craft. And, you know what I mean? There's like different teams. It's really hard to explain, but it's really hard out here. And I could have done it A-list way had I had more of a stem. I gave up a lot of that stem out of fear. Oh my God, somebody wants to hire me. Oh my God, I'm going to make money. Oh my God, I'm going to be able to pay my rent, you know? So but now looking back, I see the difference in the people and how it's done. I see it. See
So
it.
what
And it's
happened
very
with
male driven, by the way.
so what happened with was it Stephen Lang you said? That was that story that I was like,
Oh my God, this
but
is such a funny story.
can you share it?
I
I
mean,
was like, whoa.
first of all, Chesty, I'm a people pleaser. And when you have a hard time saying no in Hollywood, that's a bad thing. But I had my boundaries, my serious boundaries. Unfortunately, this one didn't cross it at the time. But I was doing this movie in South Carolina with Salome Bresner was the director, a woman. And fierce. She's fierce. And, we're in the weeds. I always did guerrilla filmmaking. We had no money, but we sacrificed everything, gave up I didn't need to be put in a little room if it meant time and money. Like, I was just there making the movie with them. And that's always how I saw it. It was fun. I didn't want to be pampered. I didn't want to sit in a dressing room. I was never that person. So we're doing a scene in a car, like in the woods. It's kind of complicated, the lighting and the setup and everything. And in between takes, we're like having or whatever in the backseat of a car. And I cover myself with it, whatever. This guy is like completely naked, rocking body, really big. Starts like playing with it, and like we're laughing, we're telling jokes, and like hitting me with it, And I'm like, Lang, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, yes, we're sort of in the scene, but we're not. He knew that there were lines. You don't do that. But we're in the scene and we're connected. Like if I left what I should have done was been like, hey, Lang, put it away, you asshole. But I didn't because I was in that connected scene moment, didn't want to break it. And I wasn't threatened, honestly. Right. But if you look back at all of this, oh my God, that guy.
Yeah.
And it's true. But we didn't have, when we were making movies for little money, there wasn't any rules. We just had to get it done. So as a woman, I had to be able to stand up to it. But I didn't. Does it hurt me to this day? Did it affect me? No. I know how juvenile it was. It wasn't a big deal. But could you imagine if that happened today?
No. I
And
mean,
by the way, Stephen Lang has a very nice wiener.
good to know. So when you tell these stories of what went on back then, I'm like, how did you react when you saw the Blake Lively accusations? Because I'm like, when you've experienced things in the 90s and in the 80s even, and then you see how women are now. I mean, I think, of course, everyone should behave appropriately, and there should be strict rules about these things to protect everyone, obviously.
Right.
But then
Right.
some people, like Blake Lively, in my opinion, is not a person that has been SH'd. If you ask me, I don't know
No.
what happened, but it doesn't seem like that. What did you
No.
think when you saw her accusations? What were your first thoughts?
My first thought was like, I'm sorry, but like, if the guy corners you and pushes you in a corner or grabs your ass and and when it's overt, hell yeah. When it's not overt, first of all, I don't want to give Justin Baldoni like an off. I mean, I've been manipulated by the perfect angel before too, but I don't think this guy wanted to have sex with her or throw his movie off. I think he might wanted to pump her ego up a little bit to make the movie better. I mean, there are certain tactics we have in relating to people and actors when we're in and out of reality. You have to be cool, man. You just have to open up your world a little bit and be a little bit tougher when you're playing the game of making something fake, making a movie. You have to open yourself up and be vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable and a guy says, "Oh, you look sexy in that," and you're broken by that, what the hell are you doing? Creating illusion and making entertainment for people. You have to be as real and open as you can. This freaking white tower walks in like the elite bullshit Aryan. I have no connection with her at all. But funny is that I did work with her sister, Robin.
Oh.
And I remember her parents and my father-in-law and my 1-year-old were all there communicating. She was the loveliest person. So sweet, so supportive. My sister's I think Blake was 18 and just starting Gossip Girl. And she was like raving about her. Okay. And it was almost, oh God, this is going to be horrible to say because I really loved the experience, but I didn't get to know Robin. But looking back on it with her parents there and stuff, it was almost Stepfordy. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No,
Remember
I don't
that
know what
movie?
that means.
Okay. Yeah.
Stepford?
You're not, you didn't grow up in America. Okay. The Stepford Wives was like a big
Oh,
movie and
Stepford
book.
Wives.
Right.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
There was something kind of like robotic about that. defense, or not defense, but presentation of her sister's up and coming, great success. This was before Gossip Girl. It was like right when she got cast. And I really liked Robin. There was something really lovely about her. But then I think back and I'm like, look at the Kardashians. These families want to create these brands that have four walls that are unshakable, because if this one falls, this one's good. It's like a weird kind of Hollywood fortress that people can build. Nepotism, blah, 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 blah. And that's basically the only thing to counterattack the money and the constant oversight of the content of what happens in film and TV. So it's all intertwined. It's all like, for me to go back now after raising kids for 20 years and to get into the business, I had a great agent, Stephanie Simon, Untitled. I had the best management company. I made a lot of mistakes that made it so not mistakes, but I made choices that made it so I didn't propel into the A-list. And not just moral choices. I'm not even saying it was my morality that held me back. It was probably more my insecurity. Like, I couldn't handle that ride. I couldn't handle how fast that train would move. And then it was like Us Magazine, TMZ, they all started coming in. And then now it's like, you have to have a social media presence. If you don't have a strong social media presence, like how Sydney Sweeney is getting ushered in through these sexy ads when she's actually a good actress, and they're taking her down the other road rather than the path of strengthening her stem. And you know what? Helen Mirren has boobies. Like, she's gorgeous, and we all have fantasies about her. Everybody, men and women. And that's great. And that's fine, but it's not her doing. She actually has some focus on her acting. That's why she's not speaking out right now and riding this wave of publicity. Because she's in it for the long run, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about Helen Mirren?
No, I was talking about Sydney Sweeney in that respect.
Sydney Sweeney, because I was like, I think Helen.
I know, I'm all over the place, right? I'm an
already
editor's nightmare.
I was like, Helen Mirren's been in the game for a while already.
But I'm saying, like, Helen Mirren had boobies and was sexy.
Yeah, no.
Like, beautiful woman. But that wasn't the focus. The focus was on like what her brain, like her actual perception of creating character, like her character creation, her talent.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't live in Britain. I don't know the whole story, but
no, I totally
there's people
agree
like
with
that.
Yeah.
Like even Julia Roberts, who kind of like went off into the distance and stalled because her talent and her looks, personality, she never went off and did that freaking great dramatic thing that was going to take the Julia Roberts away from her. You know what I mean? But she could. She still could.
George Clooney. What's happened, Kari, with George Clooney? We want all the juicy details here.
It's so funny because I was never one of these women in the tabloids that dated George Clooney. And I never really dated George Clooney. George and I were really good friends. We were friends. We were friends with benefits. He was a fan of mine from a movie I did a long time ago. And I was doing some stuff in Vegas. And I saw him in a restaurant. He was doing Ocean's 11. And he had a huge bungalow at the Bellagio. They're different from the suites. They're bungalows. And you walk out in this bungalow. So anyway, I saw him and I was having dinner in a restaurant with my assistant, and I saw him and I walked up and I was like, hey, he was having dinner with major producer, one of his very good friends who's now passed. And we just started talking, and then we, hung out afterwards, and stuff happened. And then he had this amazing suite, and they were all the boys would watch sports, and he'd have these like butlers, and they'd wheel in carts of oysters and crab, and you'd sit there. It was just unbelievably luxe. And I wanted a real life. I wanted like a husband and kids. That's how I didn't want to not go without having children. That's just what I wanted to do. And I wanted a good dad. So I wasn't, So anyway, George was not going to be that person, obviously. But we would, in between girlfriends and boyfriends, we'd do stuff. I was with him during the whole like editing process of the Gong Show movie. Right. And would sit in his theater, and I hate to do this because he has a wife and kids, but it was really, really fun. And he was really, really, really kind to me. And I never asked him for anything in the business, and I never asked him for a thing. I just spent time with a guy that was creative and successful and super kind and had his own insecurities,
But he's one of the good guys, you're saying.
He's one of the good guys. And even though like he was in that middle place, he had his craft. He knew himself. He knew he had insecurities. I mean, he went from stupid sitcoms to carrying a huge, procedural drama that was a huge success. I mean, that's where he got his success. But before that, he was a freaking hustler. And he was on sitcoms and, but he came from a family of, he had a little bit of nepotism. He had a little bit of help when he came to LA. He stayed with Rosemary but he worked hard, and because he has the base of hard work and personal dignity, he can therefore give the kindness forward. And there are people, and then now he's no longer in the middle, and now he's huge, and the guy is amazing. I mean, I wish to this day that we could be friends or talk or whatever, because he was smarter than most people. Yeah.
That's nice.
And cared more about giving back than most people. Like, I don't think he's the guy that can be swayed by a cult, A lot of us want to know what to think. He's kind of the thinker in the room, which is unusual because he's super handsome.
He is.
But it's funny because all these people that I've known over the last decades, to watch their progression and things that they do and how they behave and choices that they make, it's very interesting. And I'm glad I'm a single mom now. I have to take care of 3 kids, and, I have to do stuff but I can't, I've tried going back to Hollywood, and it's so different. I mean, I've been working in this business for over 40 years in one way or another, and I would have to start over on the playing field that they have created. I'd rather just like plant trees and hang out in the woods and hang out with you and like just be like normal again, because this town, nobody knows what's going on. It's so up in the air. I think it's like the fall of Atlantis. It's going to be mud buried, and people are going to find reels of amazing movie stars. Like, it's just,
I feel like
it's a museum.
Yeah, no, I feel like, the era of movie stars are bygone. There are not going to be any new ones coming up. Like now we see a little flash in the pans, like you were mentioning Sydney Sweeney, but they don't stick like that generation.
Sydney Sweeney ruined it for herself, I think. I mean, she could have ignored all of her assets and they would have been frosting on the cake. She has the cake. She just needed to focus on this. Wasn't her fault, but I mean, I'm sure she didn't know the implications that we're going to take this thing political or whatever with this ad. And it's a great ad and she looks beautiful and nobody should give her any shit. But, after White Lotus, like the next step should be something intense because she's got the chops,
It's kind of sad. I love your tagline on Instagram, by the way.
Which, it
says, hate fake spirituality, just keeping it real. And I feel that really says who you are. You are keeping it so real, Kari.
But I'm not. Trusty, I'm a huge liar. I've had a lot of issues in my life. My main focus is on my children, but I have a string to this town. I mean, I have a house in the Hollywood Hills. I look over everything. There's something connecting me, and it's on the brink of major change. And if Hollywood doesn't stand up for what is right, if Hollywood doesn't just come clean and come honest, and I'm talking about the men and the women on both sides of an issue of a gender war. And I think this whole Blake Lively thing is like, she just needed to feel real, because I don't think acting is her passion. I think the lifestyle is more of the passion. And then you've crossed over into a world where you'll never be a movie star. Because if you don't take the work seriously and give credit to the people that it's a collaboration. There's 100 crew people. Everybody has a family. Everybody has a life. Everybody wants creative input because that's what sustains us. That's what makes us human. And to take it away and to say it's mine, 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 and to claim authorship, if I ever hear that word again, I'm going to vomit. I mean, seriously, right? I need some authorship. Then sit down and write your own shit. Don't steal somebody else's. Succeed, fail, succeed, fail. Do what artists do. Bear yourself. Don't cover yourself with this illusion of Hollywood royalty. People are waking. Build your root system. That's what holds up your hillside. And then whatever sprouts out is lovely. And it's lovely because it's human and it's real and it's worked for.
I mean, what I feel like is the best currency right now, where we are in our lives and where we are in the world right now, is honesty.
Right.
I think it's time for people to be a bit honest. And I think that's what Hollywood needs. And I feel like I'm so grateful that you came on and talked very honestly about your experiences. It's amazing to hear your stories. I mean, you have to come back on again because I feel like we're just
Oh
scratching
yeah,
the
we have to
surface here.
talk. Like,
Yeah.
just everything that you do, I love. And you do it with such grace and
Thank
dignity.
you.
You know, we don't want to hurt people. We don't want to expose people because it's gossip and it's fun. But it's just the whole Hollywood platform needs to be illuminated because there are, you know, like you can look at Ryan Reynolds. The guy's really, really smart. And he created so many walls outside of Hollywood that there's no way that they could say no to him.
Yeah.
And it's all money and it's all, but that guy hasn't had his movie star moment. You know, he hasn't had a film that people are like, oh my God, this guy is viable. Like, he's had a lot of flops, but he's funny and he's a businessman and he's in, but he doesn't have a stem. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so there's going to be a lot of icky corruption and stuff that comes out of their lives that are intended to protect an image that's fake. I mean, they have a lot of money and a lot of talent and a lot of opportunity. If they just focused on the actual work of what they were doing and like creating and making stuff rather than all this other stuff, the other
I
stuff is
know.
what got them.
My God, I wasted time on all this stuff. Can you imagine how much
Right?
money and
All that
time?
money. Imagine all the payoffs. Imagine the career of this poor little, you know, what's her name?
Isabella
Ferrari.
Ferrer.
Like,
Yeah.
imagine her. Even Stallone. What a lump of shit he was during this whole thing.
Yeah.
Stellar. Is that his name?
Brandon Sklenar.
Sklenar. Maybe the next Batman. Like, oh, he doesn't sit there like a lump. Nothing about him radiates energy. He's just a that will do whatever he has to do so that he can come up at the end of the day and smoke a joint with his friends and watch his big screen TV. That's what it seems like to me with that guy. I mean, just pick a side, asshole.
Yeah. Let's end it with that. Okay.
I mean, listen, like, dude, if this was all real, you'd have people fighting for her.
I know. And that's what I've been
nothing
saying
about
this
it,
since.
it's
That's what I've been saying the whole time. You know, if this is your friend, if she was my friend and I knew that horrible things, but the thing is, none of the things that she's accusing him of in general, I felt like, oh, that's
They're
terrible.
not crimes.
No.
It's all context.
Yeah.
And he was overcompensating for a woman who wanted to be a star. I mean, whatever the guy is, I'm sure he's got his shit things he does, but not in this case.
No.
I mean, for crying out loud, his life rested on this movie. His
Yeah.
directing, his money, is like he's going to go flirt with some. No, his wife is gorgeous. He's got his kids. Maybe to get her to feel more confident, you throw in a couple of comments. It's all part of the manipulation and the massage of creating a scene. But, you know, at the end of the day, you go back to real life. Some people can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what her beef is. What kind of attention would she need more than just building your craft? You've got everything in the world. You could take every opportunity to make every choice to go out there and do something real. And instead you want to like overlord some piece of shit bullshit movie that won't matter anyway and hurt people. It's just mean.
I know. It's
you know,
awful.
like, and I don't think it's her, man. Her current and the tube she's sitting on is different from yours. You know, that one goes straight to a waterfall. You avoid that. Like, that's the choices she made. But I just don't think she knew. I think this Ryan dude is like handling it, but then he's going to have such contempt for her because they're going to spend millions of dollars on this. For people.
Yeah.
And
then
they're
on their
paying people
divorce.
millions of dollars. They're paying people millions of dollars that already have millions of dollars.
Oh,
It's like
so
watching
ridiculous.
a giant canasta game. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, Kari, for being here on Flossom Talk. I really appreciate all your input and all your opinions. I love honest people and I love having like open discussions about things. And I think so many people are going to be inspired by listening to you. And just for everyone to know that you played Alicia Cooper's mom and she was on my show for a few months.
Alicia Cooper is the most awesome. This is a girl that's building a STEM, and she's trying hard not to. She's an amazing person. I mean, like, she's one of those people that has it. She's got it.
Thank you so much to Kari for opening up like this. I had such a good time talking to her, and I really hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Flossom Talk on YouTube. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
Yeah, we Flossom Talk.